Good morning, Internet. It's Wednesday. It's SJU, and Ed just spilled the biggest coffee.
I didn't know they made coffee that big.
I need the calories, Dan.
And then JTE gave him Kleenex.
Joe, they took the paper towels.
The bank took
They've been repossessed. Kleenex is all we have left. Kleenex in this set. You think paper grows on trees, Joe? It kind of does.
This is symbolic of the economic state that we're in right now.
I'm Joe, that's Dan, Spencer, Ed Greer, and you. We're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to talk a little Lord of the Rings and probably the Illuminati because I'm hosting. Let's get into our first story. Obi-Wan Spinoff to Disney Plus, question mark. This is via Slash Film. There's the handsome man right there.
Oh, hello there.
So even after the Obi-Wan movie might not be in the works, hello there. The Obi-Wan movie might not be in the works after the disappointment of Solo. There may be hope of seeing Obi-Wan
in your pocket.
Again. Did you just put a Kleenex in your... Hang on.
back to life. It's okay, Ed.
I felt like I was kind of gauche to just have
Put the
it.
sopping wet coffee napkin
I've got it wrapped
in your
No,
pocket.
I've got it wrapped in a non-environmentally friendly amount of other.
That's fine.
It's fine.
You're just going to smell like coffee the rest of
the
the
smell
day.
remains, yes. The stain is gone, but is that hazelnut? It's an interesting brew. Yeah.
That's good. I like hazelnut coffee.
Hazelnut table.
So yesterday, reports floating around saying that an Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series might be in the works at Disney Plus, and it is a, quote, top priority for Disney Lucasfilm. Apparently this project is born of an idea that was originally intended to be the Obi-Wan movie, but after Solo ended up not doing so well at the box office, Disney and Lucasfilm seemed to think it might be better suited for a streaming series instead. The question becomes how much of that original movie idea survives. Is it strong enough to be padded from, like a 90-minute from a 3.5-hour film
exactly.
to 6 to 10 different 45-minute episodes?
Does it have my boy Yui Mack in it still?
I don't know.
Well, if not, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
but if so, I'd like to see
hello
him.
there.
Yeah, hello again.
So miniseries over movie, good, bad? I mean, they've got to continue to shock and awe with Disney Plus, so that makes sense to me from a business standpoint.
I want to see some of these ones that they're already making first before I buy into any more.
The slate?
Because there's the Loki and with the Scarlet Witch one and the Mandalorian and
the other Star Wars.
I want to see some of these first before I get super pumped about an Obi-Wan. This Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff, by the way, is the new Batfleck. Because I feel like we've been talking about this longer.
Long time.
We even talked about Ben Affleck being back, from 2005 when the Revenge of the Sith ended. And they're like, no more Star Wars. What do now? And people were like, McGregor make movie. And people say, okay. And here we are.
I'm honestly, thank God, because I didn't know what we were going to talk about for the foreseeable future.
But I stand by my opinion, oft stated, that Ewan McGregor's a great actor. I like his performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know what you do with an Obi-Wan spinoff because it would seem to be set in the time where he was a hermit living alone in the desert.
Yeah, I don't...
I'm sure there's some extended lore books or whatever that fill in that time.
Well, there's about 5 minutes worth of unexplored lore between the time he went to some Tusken Raiders for spare parts and the time he went back home for a nap. So we'll explore those.
Well, just get Brian Michael Bendis to write it, and it'll be so decompressed. It'll take a whole miniseries to do that 5 minutes.
Yeah. And it'll be told in flashback, so there's no stakes, and you're like, Brian, stop doing that.
Well, that's too young because he hadn't heard the name Obi-Wan Kenobi in a long time. So it'd have to be he walks away from Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's, and it's like a Back to the Future 2 situation where Boba Fett comes out. He's like, "You gotta come back with me, back to Coruscant." I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I've been now.
I also envision like a Kane and Kung Fu sort of thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi, just going to different places, being like, "You do not want to oppress these people," or what, whatever.
Yeah.
What I love is if
that.
they build on. I'm pretty sure it was like a Reddit fan theory or something where it was like Obi-Wan. All the discrepancies about Obi-Wan make sense if you think about him as just hiding next to Luke, waiting until Darth Vader comes to kill Luke, and then Obi-Wan's gonna pop out and kill Darth Vader.
Yeah,
that was the reason why he's just lurking around.
There's a lot in the sort of Marvel Comics revamp of the Star Wars comic line, that's basically what he's doing. Like, he's just hanging out, like, Luke's joyriding in a speeder and, like, accidentally runs afoul of, like, a weird space Fast and the Furious gang, and Obi-Wan puts his hood up and beats the hell out of them and sends Luke on his way, stuff like that.
He's my precious bait.
Yeah.
My precious bait.
Can't have anyone else mess him up. So yeah, but that would like be like, oh no, that would spit in the face of Obi-Wan, who's always good and noble.
That's
and
why
like,
the Marcellus Wallace of the Jedi was like, I want a Kenobi hiding in a bowl of rice.
yes, exactly.
I guess McGregor makes show you watch.
I mean, I think that Disney Plus is like, that would make me more inclined to sign up for Disney Plus for sure.
That's the one that over.
Not over anything else, but just like that on top of everything else that's announced. Like, okay, they're shoveling a lot of coal in this content engine.
No McGregor, no show. For me, that is the one thing that would appeal to me about this series.
Is that
I don't
it's Ewan
care what
McGregor,
Obi-Wan did. I really have no interest whatsoever in anything that Obi-Wan Kenobi did.
That's fair.
Between the two interesting parts of his life. But it's true.
No, it is
if
true.
Ewan McGregor were to come back, I would at least tune in because I like him. I like his performance as that character, and maybe we've seen so many times a great performance can make something that's maybe not so interesting a little more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I am curious. That said, like, you make a good point. The interesting parts of his lives are covered. Like, even, there's not even really, because, you know, they brought Darth Maul into Solo, there's not even an arc to finish there, because they've done it on the cartoon shows. And, like, it's all, I feel like it's all covered. But, I don't know. That said, the Disney Plus slate is starting to sound like a Stefan bit to me from SNL. Like, this streaming service has everything. A Loki show, Scarlet Witch, Ewan McGregor, like, reprising his Jedi character.
Werner Herzog.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
He's in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
This is really pretty a ridiculous streaming service. Sorry, I just flashed back to how many crazy people are in The Mandalorian. It's like the Dune
insane.
of streaming service shows at this point.
Yeah.
It is.
I think we're in Dune at this point.
I think you might be right.
Everyone.
Well, let the content flow. Story number 2, boys. There is mad security in the Lord of the Rings writer's room. This
Sounds
is
like a challenge.
Oh.
This is also via Slash Film, who apparently has an in with the security at the Lord of the Rings writer's room. So the Lord of the Rings, it's a very well-known story, even if you've never read the books. Hobbits take a ring to Mordor, there's a Legolas, and everyone complains about the Eagles not just taking them there to begin with. Lord of the Rings. I crammed you up.
Get ready. Get ready. I've been schooled on why the Eagles didn't take them.
Oh, I know why Mordor would have seen it coming. They would have scooped him in the face. And also, the Eagles are a very proud race.
proud
And
race.
you can't just like have them on your beck and call. They're not Postmates.
Well, I mean, I'd say to that, just give me the scene of the Eagles trying to do it and get shot out of the sky, just a bunch of burning feathers all over the place. That'd be awesome.
I would watch that.
That would be sick.
Like a Lord of the Rings what if.
Yeah, that would be so dope.
That would be amazing. Just
Aragorn falling off of a flying eagle onto a giant tree.
Okay, what else do we got?
And the ring is just lost in the forest. It's like, oh no!
Every level of Minas Tirith is just an empty shot, and you just see Aragorn go.
They reconvene back at Rivendell, and someone's just like, okay, who brought up the Eagles? Steve?
Smartass.
Steve the dwarf is just like, I'm fired, aren't I? So, again, familiar story, but that is not stopping Amazon from taking secrecy to the extreme. I kind of like this story. The Lord of the Rings TV series writer's room is reportedly on heavy lockdown to avoid leaks, and hopefully they've also locked up every copy of all of the books. In an interview with THR, Amazon studio head Jennifer Salke detailed the lengths to which the secrecy is being maintained. I love this. There's a fantastic writer's room working under lock and key. Which
side of the door is the lock on?
Right, yeah. They're already generating really exciting material. They're down all the secrecy, and then they're down in Santa Monica.
Well,
Honestly, that's
okay.
step
We need to work
one.
we need to work on secrecy here. Rule number 1: do not disclose the location of the writer's room.
Small city that they're in. Amazon offices can probably be.
I'm taking
pinpointed
my
from
own
just
fellowship to scour for them.
Yeah.
Let's hunt some Lord of the Rings writers. Yes. You have to go through such clearance, and they all have their windows taped closed. And there's a security guard that sits outside, and you have to have a fingerprint to get in there. I'm assuming a scanner, not just you have fingerprints.
Yeah, I have a fingerprint.
check, you're in. Because their whole board is up on a thing of the whole season, which is a very weird way for the head of your studio to say they have a whiteboard in their writer's room.
Basically, in a story about the extreme secrecy under which this series is being developed, the head of Amazon Studios disclosed that somewhere in Santa Monica, in a window with windows taped closed, all you need to do is find someone whose fingerprint allows you access, and you'll be able to see the entire. This is the plot of a Nicolas Cage movie. This is the heist part when they're like, okay, there's a scanner at the door that only reads fingerprints. So
There's a map on the back of the Similarian.
That's a step-by-step of how to commit a Lord of the Rings heist. Yeah. This is a tip. Man, you can tell they're new at this, because this is exactly how... This is a bad idea.
But who can defeat tape on the windows?
But here's the thing is we're going to be stuck. LA local humor, we're going to be stuck in traffic on the 405, just like, why didn't the Eagles just take us to Santa Monica? That didn't land as well as I wanted it to at all.
Like a dark room full of writers that's like been taped over and like they haven't left in a long time. It's a pretty common occurrence on show to show. I mean, I don't think you even need the security guard or the whole rigmarole. Just like occasionally, like open the door a crack and shuffle in some Thai food.
That's what they do with us. Is our door unlocked?
I'm not even sure.
Can we leave?
And sometimes it opens and closes at random hours. And yeah, like they're believe me, you don't need to lock them in. They've locked themselves in there.
I don't get this at all. I guess I'll set the chat ablaze. I have never gotten Lord of the Rings.
Dark Knight, Ed.
Yeah. That sucks too. Blah. No, but honestly, I just feel like I don't get it, but I do. It is funny to me that somewhere on a whiteboard in a dark secret room that Ethan Hunt can't get in is like Tom Bombadil's arc or whatever. Like that's just...
No, it's definitely Tom Bombadil? Question mark.
Yeah.
And then there's a little line that says, why?
Right. That's just hilarious to me that they got to keep that under lock and key. Yeah. That's just funny to me.
So it's being said that we know what happens in the books. It's being said that the Lord of the Rings TV series is going to tell brand new stories that we've never heard before. So while we know the general gist of what happens, we're completely in the dark regarding where the series is going. I really hope it's not like, I don't know, Lion King 1.5 style, where it's like, but here's what Haldir was doing while the Fellowship was walking to Moira. Like, that sounds horrible to me.
Yeah, there was that Legolas's lady friend who disappeared during. Maybe we'll know what she was up to.
Shegalas.
Shegalas. What was Shegalas doing?
Legolas.
After The Hobbit. She just kind of didn't really help out after that.
Yeah, she kind of left. It was weird.
Yeah.
I'm completely blanking on that character's name.
Right. I don't remember.
I can't
It was
recall.
played by Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah.
And I like Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah. The problem is Evangeline Lilly is such a cool name that you can't give her
sounds
like a
like an
cooler
elf name.
fantasy name.
Yeah, it sounds like an
Yeah.
elfin name. So now I'm
Eventually, what do your elf eyes tell you?
Not Galadriel, that's Kate Blanchett.
Well, and the one thing I could say is one of the things that's cool about Star Wars, the new interpretation of Star Wars is more about. I was like ranting to my girlfriend about this. The new interpretation of Star Wars is pissing so many people off because they're making it very clear that this giant galactic war is not about this fucking this family with midichlorians and their buddies. The whole story is not that. There's a bunch of people getting bombed, bunch of people's sisters getting bombed, bunch of Porkinses getting blown up in X-wings.
Yeah.
Those are the people who really are fighting the war. And it doesn't take a laser sword won't win this war. That's what pissed people off about the last movie. It made it very clear a laser sword won't win this giant war. I would tend to think I would watch this Lord of the Rings stuff if they were to be more egalitarianize the Lord of the Rings universe, so it's not all about we're all up Aragorn's butt all the time and this elf and that elf.
The only way to solve this is if there's a new king on the throne.
Right. Some of the proletariat. Give me some of those proletariat Tolkien stories.
But the Lord of the Rings wanted it and had it both ways because it's like that's what the hobbits are. It's like they're just the wee folk who like are caught up in like this whole war of near gods and kings and monsters and stuff like that. And it's just like the humble. I just want to farm my radish, Mr. Frodo. I just want to stay home with a couple of conies or bracer conies. That's what the Lord Lord of the Rings is all about.
Dude, say something about second breakfast. Go.
Oh, don't have a first one. You can have a second breakfast, Mr. Frog. How about another bracer of corns?
Oh, Sam.
Sam.
I would love some more conies, Sam. That's what the Lord of the Rings is to me.
It's just the most thirsty pronunciation of the name Sam ever. Sam.
And then just cauldron after cauldron of dead rabbit. Or bracer cornies.
I love Lord of the Rings. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Toriel, by the way.
Toriel, thank you.
Mara watching at home. She knows all these things.
Oh, nice.
Toriel.
Thank you, Mara.
I don't know what to do now.
This is a crazy. Yeah. I hope that I hope it's about conies and bracers.
That's all I want. That's all I want now.
It's got to be one episode title. Just one time.
I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Lord of the Rings. The video game stories were cool. The
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor stuff, that was really fun. If they did a whole show that just followed the Kumail Nanjiani orc, because he voiced just a random orc in the midst of all of that, and if the show just follows that orc, I think that I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, bracers of conies. Let's.
Or Brett McKinsey.
One more, Spencer. Just.
Oh, no. You'll get it when you deserve it, Mr. Star.
Now they're Irish.
I want to play football for Notre Dame.
My favorite, because they did the slow-mo thing, but it's not slow-mo, is I think it's at the end of Return of the King, where Frodo goes, Gandalf!
There's. Okay, I'll find it. I'll throw it in the comments. Someone did a video where they messed with that scene, and just everyone's eyes start to go in weird directions. and it's absolutely amazing. And I think about it every day. Story number 3, Amazon's feature film strategy. This is via Variety. Viva Variety and Johnny Blue Jeans, THR and Slash Film.
All sources.
Multiple sources here. The chief of Amazon Studios.
Was that a ludicrous collabo track? It's got a lot of MCs on that.
This story is like
All
when
the
you,
same lunatics.
this story is like when you opened a Master P CD and like 8 advertisements for other No Limit rappers fell out.
And they were never gonna come out.
No.
they were never. They were like those.
No, Rowdy Bear's album was never going to drop.
It was never gonna happen.
Yeah, Big Moose. We're
Grizzly.
never going to know what Grizzly and Big
Grizzly
Moose
is
sound
I've
sound
already
like.
screen printed so many diamond-studded tanks. The album
And they're
had
all
to
just
come
like
out.
this. Oh, let's go back to Jennifer, chief of Amazon Studios. She opened up in a pair of new interviews, which paint a larger picture of the company's approach to its film slate since she took over last year. Amazon is, quote, keen to acquire finished films, but says it will also keep producing its own movies. In addition, Amazon will start making films that will debut exclusively on its Prime subscription service and will forego theatrical release.
Okay.
No Oscars for you. The team dropped $47 million at Sundance for the titles Late Night, The Report, Brittany Runs a Marathon, Honey Boy, and One Child Nation. I just want to know what Honey Boy is about. And
I
all
believe, I could be wrong. Fact check me on this. I think that's the Shia LaBeouf movie.
Yeah,
It's
about
sort of
himself.
Semi-autobiographical.
Now I have more questions.
I could be wrong. I think that's what
That is a
one
film that exists.
Shia!
Amazon paid a bunch of $1 million for an art installation. This is
Yeah.
like a one shot, like one of those.
Yeah.
Now I have
I
to-
would have called a Shia LaBeouf biopic The Scouring of the Shia. Lord of the Rings! All of those movies will be getting theatrical releases, but whereas the company previously stuck with a 90-day theatrical window before allowing subscribers to stream their films on Amazon Prime, they're now exploring a, quote, variety of windows for their theatrical model. 30,
Subscribe and
60,
save.
On
90.
Amazon.
Yeah. Done.
Yeah.
In an interview with THR, she elaborated a little more. This is the quote. You'll see less of the 3-month window and you'll see different variations. In some cases, it'll be important for us to get the movie quickly to the service while still following through with a theatrical release that feels much shorter, 2 weeks even, 2 to 8 weeks. And then in other cases will allow, where it makes sense, a wider release strategy. Makes sense. Elsewhere in the articles, the Amazon chief alluded to the idea that the effects-heavy tentpole productions, though there aren't any plans for those yet. She also revealed that they'd be open to having, this is kind of a burn. She also revealed they'd be open to having the Oscars on Amazon Prime Video, so if ABC gets fed up with falling ratings and lets its contract expire, we might see those trophies handed out on a streaming service one day. Yeah, that's kind of a nice little sick burn to leave that interview on. Like, well, we'll take your Oscars.
I mean, money talks. Yeah. They have much of it. Most of it.
I would watch the Oscars on. Have you ever seen? They do live coverage of the Rose Bowl every year now with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Cord and Tish.
Yeah, they just do the actual legit coverage, but as these weird characters. I would watch that version of the Oscars on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, maybe it's like a Luddite, but for right now, that sounds like bird scooters being like, hey, cars are really expensive and dumb.
Yeah.
Let's just jump on these bird scooters. It's just the same thing.
Nothing bad will happen to you.
Same too. No, it's not. Not at all.
I just love that each one of these stories, really, when you read it down, one for Disney Plus, two about Amazon, they're all about reckless, endless, bottomless spending. Just $47 million, Lord of the Rings series, throw $100 million on an Obi-Wan series.
None of this is ever going to end, Dan.
Nope. It's the good times will always be good, and all of these services will all be massively successful.
Sure, but I do think it's like an order of magnitude different for Disney to throw money around and Amazon to throw money around. Like,
well, no, I think they're both.
They're both very
both
large,
fine.
but I think but even Disney, like, this is their business. Like, content is like how they live or die. Amazon is like,
we want you to buy toilet paper.
This is an arm.
We found some change under our billion couches that we have in a warehouse, staffed by robots and humans we treat like robots. Let's make some movies with this. Like, that sounds fun. Like, this is kind of a lark for them, and you can tell because like. It's just hard to find what they make on Amazon. They're not putting it front and center. Like there are great shows that are buried under toilet paper.
And really, movies are only a branch of what Disney does. They're also a theme park company.
Yeah,
they're also
a toy company.
They're any number of things.
I can't wait to see the Adam McKay movie in 10 years of all the streaming wars.
Yeah,
and just a bunch of magnetic executives arguing on the phone.
Here to explain, it's like Baron Trump in a jacuzzi or something. Oh, okay. Now I get it.
I get it.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be weird when Baron Trump breaks from the family. It's just like, I just want to be an actor, Dad, and like turns out okay.
Odds are high.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, they're gonna dump all this stuff on Amazon Prime. We're never gonna find it or see it. I accidentally just did I set a marathon up for myself on Amazon Prime of bad fantasy movies I had never heard of, because I found those before I found any Amazon Prime originals that I was actually interested in looking for.
It knew you better.
That's fair. I was like, I would like to check out Man in High Castle again, and then first found
You buy enough Warhammer figurines, and then
they're like, he wants to watch Warrior and the Sorcerer starring David Carradine from 1984, and I did. That's fair. That's totally fair. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I feel bad because like Velvet Buzzsaw, which is Jake Gyllenhaal and Tony Gilroy.
Yes.
Tony Gilroy. I love Nightcrawler. I love that movie, and I would have probably rushed out to see that movie opening weekend, and it's sitting on the list.
Yeah.
I like to think that I'm a more discriminating consumer as far as like deciding what I'm going to watch versus what I'm not.
No, man.
When it's all at home, it just gets put on the pile
Well,
and
yeah,
everything else.
Marie Kondo folded that T-shirt, threw it in the
There's nothing in theaters right now. Like if that movie came out in February in theaters, like a Jake Gyllenhaal horror movie, like that'd be a hit.
Yeah.
For a horror movie.
Is there
for a low-budget horror movie.
Do you guys find that there's something to when you're on a streaming service, you watch series first for some reason? Because I think I do. I'm no fan of Umbrella Academy. I've never read the comic books. To me, it looks like, and even as I watched it, felt like what a lot of these guys are calling it, which is sort of a X-Men Redux at best. An X-Men Redux at best. X-Men ripoff at worst.
I like it.
And, I liked it okay. But I watched that whole damn thing before I watched Velvet Buzzsaw or whatever.
Interesting.
And I loved Nightcrawler. I'm at the altar of Nightcrawler all day.
Maybe we're just like grandfathered in of like, oh, the TV's on, we should watch a TV show. Like,
That's fair.
you know, it just feels more natural to watch a series.
And there's just so many other things. If you're gonna go to a movie, you have a finite number of options. Am I gonna go see the Buzzsaw? Am I gonna go see Isn't Romantic? Am I, there's like 6 things to choose from, and you pick one of them. Whereas when you sit down, I have 500 different options of things to watch, and maybe Velvet Buzzsaw doesn't pop in my head.
And even once you look at those 500 movie options, like I think, like you said, we have like a weird point of view in our house where we're like, oh, let's watch this movie. A movie sounds more like a weekend thing that we're gonna sit and do. Let's watch an equally long show. I don't understand the logic in it.
3-hour-long episodes of television.
Yeah, I get.
That's what we do.
One movie's too much, but 10 episodes of an hour-long show.
Yeah,
I hope that they're very judicious, as they said in this interview, about picking which movies have a full wide release theatrical run and which movies have a smaller theatrical, but 2 weeks, which means it's not going to get a wide theatrical release because most of the big theater chains aren't going to carry it. I hope that they're very judicious in picking that, because I would have hated to have seen The Big Sick come out 3 or 4 years later and get a far smaller run, and mainly been premiered on the Amazon service, and you would have lost, first of all, a big hit. That movie made, considering it made a lot of money anyway, but considering its budget, it was a massive hit. Oscar nominations, award nominations. Camille and Emily both really broke out, and it got a lot more work out of it. And that would suck if it had come out 3 years later and it had really flown under the radar, because that was a movie that Amazon determined is going to get a 2-week release and then go on the streaming service, and it just kind of got lost a little bit in the shuffle. It would have been another one of those things like, have you seen blank? It's great. And most people would go like, oh yeah, I'll watch it. And then it doesn't. So I hope that they are very... I would just hate to see great movies fall under the radar and not even get awards consideration because they're devoted to shorter windows.
Unfortunately, that's going to be a big their algorithms, or whatever you want to call it, for tracking information are going to become very, very valuable to find out. Like I understand testing movies is imperfect science, but they all do it all the time. And so trying to figure out some sort of math on like what's a Big Sick and what's our Atlantic Rim, but with a little bit more budget thing that we can put out for 4 weeks, and teenage boys go give us $100 million for no reason, and then we drop another streaming service, make another. That sort to determine those. That's going to be a hard task.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't envy those people.
The algorithm on the Amazon Prime movie thing sucks.
I didn't even know there was an algorithm.
There doesn't appear to be. Because when I'm just sort of browsing through what movies to watch, it is the weirdest.
Very strange.
It'll literally, like in my top 6 options, it'll mix like The Deer Hunter, and then next to it will be Atlantic Rim, like right up there in the top 6, and then a completely unrelated movie. Like I don't know how they program what options it shows you, but it's awful. And if you're actually looking for something, it's impossible to just browse through.
I scrolled 12 rows before they gave me the new release movie row. It was weird.
Or it's weird, like I'll scroll through and I'll be like 7 screens deep, and I'll be like in the C-list stuff, like beyond direct-to-video, and then a great movie will be in there. It'll like Atlantic Rim, Transmorphers, Godfather Part 2.
What?
What? Hang on. How did that happen?
Double feature.
We heard you like great cinematography.
I hope they're putting a little I hope they're putting a little R&D into that process as well.
What happens, you guys, because the streaming services are only throwing theatrical release a bone, I feel, to, I guess, maybe get your eyes on it, to be like, oh, if I miss it in theaters in 2 weeks, I know I can go to Amazon Prime. But also it's the awards eligibility.
Well, there's a lot of filmmakers, I think, that wouldn't necessarily be on board with it if they didn't guarantee that it would be eligible
want it to be
for
seen
some
on
sort of broader recognition from the guilds and stuff.
What happens to the Academy's last bastion of, well, it has to have a theatrical run, if then the Academy Awards move to a streaming service?
Then it's dead.
Yeah.
If Amazon owned the Academy Awards or was running the Academy Awards, that whole idea of it would just be it has to debut somewhere in a year, and then it's just I don't know where you go from there.
Yeah,
that's
get an Academy Award for
complete
YouTube.
Seismic shift.
Yeah.
We can't even swing an Emmy, guys. You really think we can get an Academy Award? Come on. Corden.
Well,
you carpool karaoke?
Dude, having Corden Susan Lucci you is hilarious.
Steve Buscemi, Trevor Noah, and James Corden are all Susan Lucci.
Oh, the those hacks.
Nothing wrong with any of it. Well,
No.
I don't know.
Well. Yeah,
Oh, really?
Some people seem to have something against James Corden. I have no reason why. I have no reasoning to have anything against him, but a lot of people, I was just like, oh, we lost James Corden, but that's cool. He's a really, seems like a really nice guy. And a lot of people sort of like, shows what you know. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know.
I've heard he's not, but even more so than that Steve Buscemi, I've heard some things about Buscemi. I've heard he
a firefighter?
makes pancakes for firefighters.
Yep. And was one, and
I've heard
saves lives.
Yeah,
and
I've heard
he's a hero.
didn't bother to even come to the Emmys because he was doing a fundraiser for first responders.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we found
I know,
a new guy to
right?
cancel. I think we need to cancel this.
He's canceled Buscemi.
Yeah.
This
That
flapjack
selfless-
flipping,
Selfless, hero-supporting,
flapjack
charitable,
fundraiser.
kind man.
Perfectly sweet.
guilt in those eyes.
Oh, flapjack philanthropist. Boom.
Yeah.
Take
Ooh.
two. Take two.
Charming, undersung, underappreciated actor that he is.
National treasure ass.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, guys,
Death of
that's our
Stalin.
show. What do you hate most about all the kind, sweet things Steve Buscemi does? Let us know in the comments below. That's Dan. I'm Joe Spencer.
Best comment
and
gets a
the
brace or a conies.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.